Hello, and welcome to another installment of My Dad Listens to This. I'm Juliet, the daughter.
And I'm Kevin, the dad.
Dad, do you want to tell everyone what we're reviewing today?
Today we're reviewing classic album,
Uh-huh.
Back in Black by AC/DC.
Get those devil horns out.
Yeah. But first, a little background, as always. AC/DC, or Akadaka, as they're known in Australia, formed in Sydney
Oh, really?
in 1973 by Scottish-born brothers Malcolm Young on rhythm guitar and Angus Young, lead guitar.
Yep.
And I also have to throw in that their older brother George Young was a member of the Easy Beats, who had the big hit Friday on My Mind back in the 60s.
So is he kind of like the black sheep for not doing AC/DC, or?
No, I think he was a little older.
Okay.
Okay, so AC/DC underwent several lineup changes before releasing their first album, High Voltage, in 1975. They finally got it down to the Young brothers, Bon Scott on vocals, drummer Phil Rudd, and then bass player Mark Evans, who eventually was replaced by Cliff Williams in 1977 for the album Power Edge. In February 1980, a few months after recording the album Highway to Hell, which broke them in the United States, lead singer and co-songwriter Bon Scott died the classic rock and roll death of acute
alcoholism.
and choking on his own vomit.
Yeah, that's what Mike told me. He's like, Brian Johnson isn't the original singer. I'm like, what? He's like, nope, the other one died. I'm
Yep.
like the drummer from Led Zeppelin? Kinda.
Yeah, except in this case, I think it was a friend of Bon's was trying to wake him up in a car. They had arrived somewhere. Bon wouldn't wake up. So the friend just left Bon in the car.
Oh.
Next day comes out, dead.
Corpse is smelling. Ugh.
Anyway, the group considered disbanding, but stayed together, bringing in Brian Johnson as a replacement for Bon Scott, who once saw him perform and liked him. So they figured, well, if Bon liked him, he's got to be pretty good, because Bon just didn't like a lot of people in general. Later that year, the band released their first album with Johnson, Back in Black, which they dedicated to Scott's memory. The album launched them to new heights of success and became one of the best-selling albums of all time. The band's next album, For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, was their first album to reach number one in the United States. The band fired Phil Rudd as drummer in 1983, and Simon Wright filled in his place until quitting in 1989.
Do we know why they fired him?
I don't know.
Probably just didn't get along. Classic rock
Could
stuff.
be. He was replaced in 1989 by Chris Slade. The band experienced a commercial resurgence in the early 1990s with the release of The Rage's Edge. Phil Rudd returned in 1994, contributing to the band's 1995 album, Ball Breaker. The band's studio album, Black Ice, released in 2008, was the second highest-selling album of that year.
2008?
2008.
Holy shit, I didn't think they were still doing stuff.
Which I can kind of remember that was a big deal when that album came out, because it just sold and sold and sold. And it was their biggest chart hit since For Those About to Rock, eventually reaching number one on all charts worldwide.
Did you listen to the album?
Not the whole thing. I probably can remember maybe a couple of songs off it, but I can't remember the titles. Anyway.
Yeah.
The band's lineup remained the same until 2014 with Malcolm Young's retirement due to early onset dementia and Phil Rudd's legal troubles. And once again, he was replaced by Chris Slade. In 2016, Brian Johnson was advised to stop touring due to worsening hearing loss, and Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose stepped in as the band's vocalist for the remainder of that year's dates, thus turning them into one of the highest paid AC/DC tribute bands ever.
Yeah, like Mike was playing me the clip of Axl Rose singing Thunderstruck, and he's got that Brian Johnson scream going on.
Oh, yeah. Long-term bass player and background vocalist Cliff Williams retired from the band at the end of 2016 for their Rock or Bust World Tour. Malcolm died in November of 2017 at 64 years old.
Oh, he's dead?
Yeah, and Keith Richards called him one of the greatest rhythm guitarists ever.
Oh.
The group hasn't officially disbanded, and they just haven't put out anything new yet. So...
Retired?
Semi, maybe?
Okay.
Don't know.
Okay.
Now, as to Back in Black itself, again, this was the first album with new singer Brian Johnson, and it was the second of three albums produced by Robert John Mutt Lang. He produced Highway to Hell, then Back in Black, and then For Those About to Rock, which those are just three unbelievably awesome sounding albums. And then after that, they decide, hey, we'll produce stuff by ourselves. And things just kind of, I mean, they still sold, but it was kind of, this isn't as good as those other albums. But there was also the criticism that Mutt Lange also kind of polished them up a little in the studio.
Define polish.
Well, not as, I guess, raw or gritty. Kind of gave them a cleaner sound, which is kind of his trademark. Like he produced Def Leppard, Shania Twain, The Cars. He's produced a lot of different artists from a lot of different genres. Okay, for the numbers. Back in Black has sold 50 million copies worldwide.
Nice.
Just 22 million in the United States alone, making it the third best-selling album ever behind Thriller and the Eagles' greatest hits.
Oh, no! I was like, I had a feeling it was going to be Eagles as soon as you said, Full disclosure, my dad and my mom both hate the Eagles. I have not heard enough of them in order to make a judgment, so I will make no judgment yet.
Okay, this album had 5 classic rock radio big hits: Hell's Bells, Shoot to Thrill, Back in Black, You Shook Me All Night Long, and Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. Now, when you talk about Mike, who's Mike?
Okay, so Mike is a friend of mine from the political science department at Rick, and he is very much a metalhead. He loves heavy rock. We always have discussions about music constantly. He's the guy who showed me the video, What Drummers Play Like on Different Drugs, the one that I sent you. So one night we were just hanging out in my dorm, and I told him I'm going to be listening to Back in Black by AC/DC because I never heard them before. He's like, you never heard them before? I'm like, no. So we started listening, and he was telling me about the history of the band, so that's how I knew about Brian Johnson being the second singer and stuff. And yeah, we just really, really like talking about music and rock and roll in general, so.
Okay, because I was thinking it might have been a different Mike, who would have been Mike C.
Yeah.
Who...
does he have his own history with the band, or?
He does, in that, like, he is a hardcore Bon Scott fan, and for him, AC/DC just ceased to exist after Bon Scott died. He will have nothing to do with Brian Johnson or any of those albums at all.
I mean, I totally get it. That's how I felt about Pentatonics when Avi Kaplan left. It's like, when your favorite member of the band leaves, you just stop listening out of solidarity. It's just like, nope, I don't want to. All right, so, do you remember what it was like when this album came out?
Let's see, 1980, it's 2019, that's 39 years ago. No, I really can't remember, but I mean, I can remember hearing the songs on the radio. That's kind of about it. But as like having an overall impact, no, I really can't.
Okay, so the reason that I wanted to do AC/DC was because I kind of wanted to do something like a bit harder rock, just for a change of pace, since that's not really what I listen to. The first time I really remember hearing AC/DC, other than, You Shook Me All Night Long, which I've heard in your car before, was I saw the clip from Thunderstruck, and then it was like, I was shaking at the knees, dun, 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 and I was like, holy shit, this is great! And I also know about them because I found out that, according to Billboard Hot 100, they are number 10 in the top 10 music artists of all time based on units sold. So that's kind of why I wanted to do them. All right, shall we get into this song by song?
Oh, yes, let's.
All right, let's do this. Hell's Bells. So I love the introduction with the deep toll of the bells, because when you think of bells ringing, you don't think of hell, you think of a church. But when I heard those bells ringing, I knew that that was a death knell, just like the boom, like the strong gong. The message of this song is really simple. You're evil like me, and you're going to hell. But what I want to know is the character of the song supposed to be Satan himself, or a messenger of Satan like Mephistopheles in Dr. Faustus? Because he talks about Satan, but he never explicitly says that he is Satan, so you're not really sure. And also, Brian Johnson can scream. I just hope his voice is okay, though. Like, I know that some metal singers have a technique to use where it's like they don't scream through their throat. They have, like, this specific breathing technique that they use, but I don't know if he used it. But I just really like this song as an opener. And isn't there, like, a hot sauce at Bonehead's called Hell's Bells?
Yeah, I mean, they got it from the name of the song, obviously.
Yeah.
I read that there was a story that they had a bell specially built for them to ring. I know they were having some trouble actually getting the bell built. It wasn't going to be done on time, and they thought, well, we'll use some sort of studio trickery, and that didn't work. But meanwhile, the bell was finished, and I know in concert that I've seen a picture of Brian Johnson smacking the bell with what looks like some sort of hammer or a bell ringing device.
That's probably why his hearing isn't too good.
Could be. Okay, now I have a story about Hell's Bells.
Okay.
When my friend Kathy got married for her third and final time.
Oh, way to rub that in even more, Dad. Now she's really going to hate you.
As if she listens to this podcast. Hi, Kathy, in case you're listening. She got married at Cold State Park.
Yeah.
We're kind of in the woods. We're waiting for the ceremony to start. All of a sudden we hear, dun.
Yup.
Dun.
It was a biker wedding. It was so badass.
Dun. And I'm standing there and I hear myself saying out loud, hey, that's Hell's Bells. And then it starts kicking into the song, and I thought, this is the coolest wedding ever.
She rode in on the motorcycle at that point, too, right?
I believe so.
Oh, that was a fun wedding. All right. Shoot to Thrill. Now, what I like about this song is it seems to say, all right, baby, you really want the bad boy? Well, this is what it's effing like. And it's like, even though he just wants to kill, well, yeah, if you think about it, because, like, the bad boy has kind of always been, like, romanticized, and it's like every girl has their bad boy phase, but it's like, no, the bad boy's screwed up, and if you want the bad boy, then buckle up. So it's like, even though this bad boy, the character of the song, he just wants to kill and get all the women and all the drugs, there's something about the character of the song that's really irresistible. Like, it's like, all right, you're honest about what you want. I kind of like that. Again, even when he makes it clear he'll kill you if you mess up. Also, it seems like he's taunting the girl to point the gun at him and shoot when he keeps saying, yeah, pull the trigger, like, you know, you don't have the guts to do it, like, as if she could manage to kill him. So, it's a good song, but in my opinion, it's not as good as Hell's Bells.
Or is pull the trigger, how do we say this? Innuendo-ish.
Oh, okay.
Because AC/DC has always been known for, like the, how can I put this? Sexy time lyrics.
Yeah.
For lack of a better phrase.
Well, let me put it this way. You know how there's a big difference between making love and fucking? I feel like they're writing about the second one.
Well, yeah. I mean, AC/DC just gave voice to, like, all those frustrated teen boys out there.
Yeah.
Who just needed someone to be on their side, I guess.
Yeah.
Or knew what they were going through hormonally.
I mean, we'll get to some of the more explicit songs in a little bit.
Really? There's more explicit songs?
Oh, yes.
Hey, Jules.
Yeah?
They all are.
I know. But you know what I mean. All right, so What You Do for Money, Honey. Okay, so when I first started listening to this album in the library, I was like, okay, I'm going to call this sex song number 1. But I realized numbering them was kind of fruitless since there's, like, a lot of sex songs on here. So, What You Do for Money, Honey, I really love this song. I love the taunting and teasing tone, and Angus's guitar playing really shines here, especially with the high notes that he's able to shred. I mean, that's kind of all that I have to say.
Well, I know I'm pretty sure for this song, I can't remember where I read it, and I was trying to find it during research, but I couldn't come up with it, that this song was written for, I think it was some sort of musical industry business person who just would, like, do anything business-wise to, you know, get ahead. So it was more of like a put-down, like, you know, what are you doing to sell out?
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I'm wrong about this, someone out there will correct me.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a put-down the way they sing it. All right, Give the Dog a Bone.
Yeah.
Someone...
What does this mean? What is the deep meaning of this song, Jules? What could it possibly mean?
I don't know, he wants a blowjob really bad. When I first heard the title of the song, now this is before I pressed play, okay? So when I first heard the title, this made me think of, you know...
Yes.
Okay, so I first heard the title, it made me think of, you know, the This Old Man nursery rhyme, you know...
We're gonna knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. Oh, that's so cute. That's so...
But this is before I clicked play! So, I read the title, and I was sitting there thinking, why the hell would AC/DC use an innocent lyric from a kid's rhyme? To put a twist on it? We'll see. Then I literally wrote in my notes as soon as the song started playing in all caps, "Oh shit, never mind." Yep, it's a blowjob song, and my favorite verse in this whole album and this whole song has to be, "She's no Mona Lisa, she's no Playboy star, but she'll send you to heaven, then explode you to Mars." It's just great dirty writing, and this is the song that made me realize in the 80s, who else would have had the balls to write this stuff? It's just down and dirty, and I love it.
Oh yeah, I mean, they've always been trashed by critics for being sexist, but their thing has always been, nah, it's just all good, clean fun.
Yeah.
Which I gotta give Bon Scott credit for. He was a little more
reserved
about this, even though it was like along the same lines, and plus his was like fall down funny for some of them. I mean, like, I don't know if you've ever heard the song Big Balls, but
nope.
Always makes me laugh out loud. And you can, as weird as it sounds, you can kind of hear like the wink in his voice, the nudge, nudge, wink, wink. No one saying
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where Brian was more, how shall we say, direct, I suppose.
Yeah. All I can think of
this ain't Shakespeare we're dealing with Jules, as I'm sure you found out.
But you saying that, it reminds me of, you haven't seen American Psycho yet, so this isn't a spoiler, but there's one scene where Patrick Bateman brings his prostitute to his house, and he gets her in the bathtub, and he looks at her and says, "Now I want you to cleanse your vagina." Like, that kind of overtness and that kind of bluntness, that's what that made me think of.
Okay.
All right, let me put my love into you.
See, this is, to me, this is interesting. Getting this album from, hearing about this album from a woman's perspective.
Okay, so the verse, "Don't you struggle, don't you fight, don't you worry, 'cause it's your turn tonight," kind of sounds rapey. Not gonna lie, kind of sounds like he's coming down a dark-ass alley. I don't think he wants to put his love in her. He definitely wants his penis put in her.
No way.
No shit, yeah. I don't think I like this song. I kind of tuned out the rest after that verse. I'm like, no.
Okay.
Especially with, like, Me Too and Time's Up. This song just takes on, like, really, really, really dark context. I just don't like this song. Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on. That tells me that Dad shares my opinion too. Alright, Back in Black. So the opening, for the first few seconds, it kind of sounded like a clock ticking, maybe a grandfather clock or like a bomb about to go off. Not gonna lie, I found this song kind of boring and repetitive.
What?
I don't know, I didn't like it. I'm allowed to have my opinion on this show, aren't I? Sheesh. The song was okay. I'm just glad it didn't open up the album and that Hell's Bells did instead, because that's a great opener. This one's just kind of like, eh. There's something I'm curious to know, though. Are they talking about, in this song, are they talking about how they as a band are making a comeback, considering this is their comeback album? Like, everyone thought they were dead, but now they're back and better than ever with a vengeance?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
But I think it's their greatest song, and just the way it opens. For me, it's just that drum beat, being the drummer that I am. I just love this song. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. But, oh my God, what a great song.
It also makes me think of this.
I mean, it's just, ugh.
It makes me think of the shirt that I got you for Christmas.
Well, yeah.
That's an amazing shirt. Alright, You Shook Me All Night Long. Now, this is the one AC/DC song I remember hearing, other than Thunderstruck. You hear it playing in the car, and I remember the cartoon that you drew, with, what's the kid's name? The musician that you drew, where he's singing, "Wheels on the bus go round and round," and he walks in front of Augie and more, and he starts singing this song, and then walks away, and he goes, "Swish, swish, swish, wheels on the bus." What was that character's name?
Oh, Rem.
Rem, yeah. Alright, so this song is oddly more tame than the previous ones on this album. Not my favorite, but I like it. And I guess there's something about American Girls that makes guys go gaga. I don't know what it is, but we got it. I also like he admits that this is way too much for him to handle, but god damn it, he wanted more. Yeah, it's a good song, and in my opinion, I think I could hear other rock groups doing this song as well. Like, I feel like I could, like, I don't know, maybe I could hear, like, Led Zeppelin doing something like this, or maybe some other rock and roll bands. I don't know. Like, maybe if the Stones were a little more hardcore, maybe they would do this too. I don't know. Also, I love how he says she didn't want applause, just another course, as if for her this is a normal daily occurrence, while he's just sitting there like, holy shit, what the hell just happened? The one thing, though, I was not expecting was how abrupt the ending was. Like, it just cuts off, and you're just kind of going, oh, it's over?
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. Okay, to me, You Shook Me All Night Long is their second greatest song ever after Back in Black. Mm-hmm. Again, just love this song. I've heard it, I don't know how many times, but it has never gotten tired for me. And you know who does a decent version of this song?
Who?
Celine Dion. She was on the VH1 Divas concert, and she actually did this song, and she did a great job with it. Now, she was just really into it, and it proves that she's got this great voice. She just needs great material to go with it. And
did she change it? Like, did she transpose the key, change the genre in any way, or did she just sing it like a rock ballad?
No, it wasn't like a rock ballad. She just went balls out.
Cool.
And it was a great job. And the other thing about this song, the line about "knock me out with those American thighs."
Yeah.
American Thighs was used as the title for this band in the '90s, Veruca Salt. But yeah, I just love this song, and yeah, it's great.
I don't think it's my favorite. I think on this whole album is probably Hell's Bells, but I can see why a lot of people do like You Shook Me All Night Long.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Have a Drink on Me. So me being the theater person, all I could think of is the song Drink With Me from Les Mis, when all the students have one more hangout together before they all die. Also, I'm so innocent that I had to Google what sour mash and tequila white lightning were, because I'd never heard of those in my life. Then when the chorus kicked in, I realized I've heard this song before, too, with, like the, have a drink on me, but I don't remember where. Might have been in a movie, might have been from your car radio, I don't know. But again, I think the chorus is the best part of the song with the repetition. The other lyrics are just okay, and the final scream is great, too. Other than that, I don't know if this would be my go-to drinking song.
Mm-hmm. I know one thing about Have a Drink on Me was that some people thought it was kind of tasteless because Bon Scott died of alcohol poisoning.
Oh.
But it was more of almost like a toast to him.
Aww,
like this whole album was dedicated to him, and even like you've seen the cover, it's just all black.
Yeah.
Except for
they were in mourning?
Except for the name of the band. When they wanted to put out the album, they wanted the all-black cover, and Atlantic Records compromised with them and said, we'll let you put out the cover, but we want your band logo in a gray outline just so it could stand out so people would be able to see it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's not that's not what Spinal Tap was parodying, right? That was a different album cover, right?
Could sort of be.
Okay. All right, Shake a Leg. All right, I know they're Australian, but this sounds so Cockney British, like, oi, shake a leg.
Well, they're transplanted Scotsmen.
Oh, their family's originally from Scotland and they just moved to Australia?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So I get the message. The guy's a rebel who wants to have a good time, and the people in charge aren't having any of it and telling him, get the hell out of here. Again, in my opinion, just another okay song. Wasn't too impressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree. It's a decent song, good song. Not really overall great, but good song.
Maybe also with the phrase in the title, maybe we're missing out on something because we're American and shake a leg isn't really something that we say a lot here.
Yeah, but it means move it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Get out of here. All right, rock and roll ain't noise pollution. Now, my first thought reading the title was, hell yeah, it's not noise pollution. Rock music is awesome. The opening guitar kind of took me back because it was so easy and laid back compared to everything else. Like, if you think about Hell's Bells, you have that death knell, and then you kind of have like this calm guitar lick, and I'm like, I didn't ever think I'd hear AC/DC like doing anything calm. Yeah, it's laid back compared to everything else, and I feel like I've heard this song before too, but again, I can't remember where. Probably from your car. I like the message. Rock and roll is good music for a good time that's easy to understand, and you don't have to be a hoity-toity snob about it. I also like the lyrics about the person complaining about the noise, like it's an angry landlord with a noise complaint, like, hey, keep the noise down, I'm trying to sleep. Other than that, I didn't like the slow tempo, and the song is just okay.
I don't know. I like the song. Mm-hmm. they wrote it as an answer to critics who just would always slag them off. And I think the one line, which I think is hilarious but also brilliant at the same time, that rock and roll is just rock and roll.
Yeah, because, yeah, like that special, like I used to watch when I was a kid, Arthur, it's only rock and roll. Even though they had Backstreet Boys, and Backstreet Boys isn't a rock and roll band.
That's true. But and I don't mind the tempo of the song. I think it makes it more, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, shoot, I'm blanking out on here. Not exactly a message song, but it's more of an anthem. Thank you. Yes. It's definitely an anthem, and that's possibly why it's at the tempo that it is. I like it.
Maybe there are some anthems that are slow, and then there are some anthems that are just balls to the wall because they don't care and they're motivated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So I think with AC/DC. You have to be in the right mood to listen to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, either rebellious, in a rage, or about to have some crazy-ass kinky sex. Oh, come on! They're not, like I said, they're not making love. They're fucking. I think, no one else had the balls to write this stuff, and I like how there's not that much symbolism. It's just honest, gritty, and raw. But while I like, the occasional having fun and rolling around in the dirt, sometimes you just want to get clean, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just depends what mood you're in. There's definitely a point where you could reach a threshold listening to their music, and again, my friend Mike couldn't believe that I was listening to the whole album in one sitting. And in fact, I could kind of admire people who can make through the whole thing in one sitting.
Why was he surprised that you would listen to the whole thing all in one shot?
I don't know. He didn't really tell me, but I think it's just because, again, you have to be in the right mood for it, and when you're not, maybe just listening to the whole thing would kind of seem like a bit of a slog. Like, if you're not, angry, or, if you're just not in the right mood, then it might seem like a bit of a chore, maybe? I don't know. He wasn't really clear.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's like, I think it's a good album. It's not one that I go to a lot, but it's like, when I'm in the mood, I know it's there, I'll pull it out, and
rage.
And, and just... Yeah, rage. For me, though, this might sound like sacrilege to, hardcore AC/DC fans out there.
Uh-oh.
But I am still waiting for, some sort of definitive career-spanning best of. I mean, I know that they've had, Who Made Who, which was sort of a greatest hits thing, but it was only, a handful of songs. Now I'm looking for something minimum of 2 discs, because maybe that's why your friend Michael was surprised that you listened to the whole thing through, because to me they've always been a singles band. They've always had 2 or 3 great songs on each album, and I mean, in the case of Back in Black, half that album has been on the radio and will always be on the radio.
Yeah.
And I think just a career spanning best of would just suit them well.
Do you think you know why they wouldn't, why the band might not want to do that?
I don't know. I mean, I know there are certain bands who just are against the whole greatest hits thing because it's our albums say it all. We don't need a greatest hits thing cherry picking. I mean, that was Led Zeppelin didn't do that.
That's true.
Until maybe a couple of years ago, where they had an early days, later days, 2 separate discs type of thing. There are just some bands that are against that. And plus there's also the thing of when a band puts out a greatest hits, it's either they're breaking up or let the creative slide begin.
I mean, I could get that. I get why people would want to do it and why people wouldn't want to do it, but I don't. Yeah, for me, it's just another way to cash in on some money, or maybe it's maybe this is before iTunes came out and before Spotify or Pandora came out. Maybe that was the equivalent of being able to cherry pick songs back then. If you had an album of all the awesome songs after awesome songs after awesome songs, you didn't have to sit through the bad ones. You could just listen to all the great ones instead.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I've started doing with AC/DC. Just, borrowing discs from the library, downloading the songs that I really want, and I'm happy.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, AC/DC, it's good music, But it's good in small doses, or when you feel like you want to rock out, no holds barred. All right, as always, thank you for listening to another episode of My Dad Listens to This. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Subscribe to our channel. As of, I already posted the message on YouTube, but until I'm done with school, we're going to be posting every other week. So if you want to get notified for when every episode comes out, tap the bell. That way you can be notified as soon as another episode is uploaded online.
Oh, you're such a good student.
All right. Thank you for listening as always.
Thank you.
We will be back with another episode.
Rock on, kids.
Rock on. Bye.